Hey, 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 welcome to the Her Power Moves on Vendor December webinar, how to make raving fans out of every person who visits your table in the On Vendor December event. We are so excited to have you here joining us, whether you're joining live or you are watching on the replay. The goal with tonight's webinar is to walk you through some specific things to think about as you are crafting what your tablescape looks like, as you are crafting how you interact with folks during the event, and then the all-important follow-up. So we're gonna walk through literally intention, day of, and follow-up in those three chunks. And then I'm going to take answers here live, obviously. And if you're watching in the replay, you can actually email me at michelle@michellytalbert.com, and I am happy to answer questions when I get them. So with that all being said, and let me just mute, no, not myself, okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Michelle Talbert. I am the curator of Her Power Moves Broward. Broward is our, I guess we'll say, our main event where we have started the genesis of it all in terms of bringing together women to connect, collaborate, and create cash flow unapologetically. Our goal is to provide a platform for women in business and the arts to come together and treat their art as a business, their business as a business, make connections, meet other women in business here in Broward locally, and with our monthly events, we host them in a different brick and mortar business owned by a woman every month, with the goal that we can find the resources that we need within our ecosystem. And with On Vendor December, our goal is to now shine outward. We all shine among each other, right? We know we exist. But the goal with On Vendor December is to make sure the public knows we exist. And that is why on December 1st, we're going to have On Vendor December. And that will be an awesome event for the public. It's free and open to the public, and will enable members of the public to come and join us and learn about all of the incredible businesses that we have. And for a number of the women who are presenting at On Vendor December, it is the first time that they are hosting a table, which is super exciting to me because I have learned through now having only done it 3 times myself for Her Power Moves, but found that this opportunity to host a table, to stand behind a table and share your gifts, your talents, your purpose, your business with the world as they are coming through and learning more and more about each business, and they come to your table and you have that opportunity to make a connection. You know, people buy ads on TV, radio, Instagram, Facebook, but again, that's just sort of one-way unidirectional communication. When you host a table, when you have an exhibit, this is an opportunity to make an actual connection and answer questions and really have, you know, great communication with someone who could be a potential customer or a potential referral partner, a potential for who knows what. So that is really awesome opportunity. So thank you all. So before we get started, not before we get started, we're going to get started right now. We are going to walk through the 3 phases as I see them of creating a really great exhibit experience, both for yourself and for everyone who comes to your table to learn about your products and services. So the way that our time together, and we're going to be spending probably, we're going to have about 35, 40 minutes of conversation with me, and then we're going to have about 10 to 15 minutes of conversation with Tanya Harrison of Signal Partners, who is an operations and systems specialist, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A for the folks who are live. So that's how we're going to walk through today. Of course, you can put questions in the chat box now, and I can look at them after, so you don't forget if you have a question and you're on live. You can put questions in the chat box, and I'll check that during the Q&A session as well. So with regard to pre-work, if you've ever had a workshop with me, if you've ever been to anything where I'm speaking at the front of a room or on a camera like this, you know that I start everything with intention. Why are you doing it? So we start with, you find out that there's a conference and an opportunity to exhibit, and you say, I'm going to sign up. At that moment, why are you signing up? Ask yourself. Yes, might be sales, but again, it may be referral partners. It may be networking with the other people who are in attendance. It may be getting in good with the folks who are hosting the event. So these are things to think about just from the perspective of, why are you signing up? Why are you signing up to host a table? And then once you make the decision, yes, this is why I'm signing up, and then you pay your money and you sign up, the next thing you want to think about is, okay, so what type of conference is this? The first conference that I actually was an exhibitor for was a women's conference. And I'm gonna, as I walk through some of, examples as we go through this conversation, you'll hear how I've made certain choices based on knowing that everyone who was coming to my table, for the most part, was going to be a woman business owner. So that played a role in what my table looked like, the aesthetics of my table, to the, things that I put on my table for them to take away. So you want to think about who will be coming to your table, and how do you make your table welcoming to those folks? Because no matter how many people or how few other exhibitors there are, there's always competition for attention, right? Whether you're online, whether you're in an exhibit hall. So you want to have something that says, hey, come look at me, and at least grabs their attention. And if you know who it is who'll be walking the hallways, then you have an idea of maybe some things that can grab their attention. It could be something like a laptop that's playing on loop, an event, or something related to your business that would capture someone's attention and at least draw them over to the table. Then we want to, like I said, think about the aesthetics. So with the SCORE conference, because I knew that there would be a lot of women coming, and I personally have flowers at all of my events, I had flowers, I had fresh flowers on the table. I don't think I saw anyone else with flowers on their table at that event, or for most part, most events that I go to. But that was something that there were a few people who commented on it, and it gave a sense of welcoming. Again, women-owned businesses, I like pretty things, so I'm gonna make my table pretty. Then, in addition to aesthetics, think about comfort. And by comfort, I mean the comfort of the people who are in the sessions, in the exhibit hall. Do you want to have little bottles of water on your table? Little mints, little candies, little things that, even though they're grown-ups, are going to make them act like they're, 6 and 7 years old again, and so excited to see a piece of chocolate. It really happens, true story. In my case, I have a big thing for the gold chocolate coins. And so that is both about a symbol of prosperity, because where her power moves, we're about making women business owners prosperous. And so that's just a little visual aid. So think about your business and think about the things like that would be a draw for your business. If you, like, let's say, we know we have admissionisms is coming. And if you put together a table, Dr. Kia, that had, I don't know, like little scrolls, diplomas, or little things that are tchotchke-ish and semi-cheap, but still tie into your brand, but bring people over, right? So it's a mixture of comfort and fun when you're thinking about things to put on your table from that perspective. But the business is a big deal, right? So what is it on your table that adds value to the person that they can either take with them or will grab their attention about your business? Now, I mentioned a laptop with maybe some type of event or something like that on the screen on a loop. If you have an ad that you run, you can put that on a loop to bring them over from an aesthetics perspective or an attention grabbing perspective. But then to take it to the next level, what kind of information can you put in their hand to take with them while you're speaking with them as well? Because one thing that I have noticed is that depending on the flow of traffic, you'll have ebbs and flows where it may feel like you can't get to every person who came to your table. And you do want to try to at least have a touch point with each person. And so if you have something you can, while you're speaking with someone, at least put in their hand or direct them to that they can look at while they wait for you to be able to give them your attention as well. So whether that is information that's like a flyer or a card about what you do, when you might have next upcoming opportunity, even something that, you know, I know, like I mentioned, Tanya Harrison's going to talk about resources, but some of the things that you might want to have is like even a little card that, that they could start putting their information on to make an appointment with you or something of that nature. It's analog, right? It's not a Google form or something fancy, but just something to keep them engaged and at your table. So those are things to think about from the business perspective. So far, just as, you know, as folks are coming in the room, just to talk about where we're going and where we've been. We talked about the intention. Why is it that you are going to participate in this exhibit fair? Who is the audience? What is the goal that you have set for yourself? At least one goal that you have set for yourself where you can walk away at the end of that day and feel like it's been a success. What is the prep work that you want to put in? From the aesthetics perspective, what do you want to have on your table? Candies and flowers and things of that nature, from the pretty perspective based on maybe who that audience is that you'll be interacting with. And then a comfort perspective, bottles of water, little bits of mints, things like that that you can have as well. And then the business piece was what I was just talking about. What is it that you can make sure that you can multitask, that they can sort of have in their hand or read while you're interacting with other people? But the goal is to be able to speak with every person who comes to your table, but you want to do it in a way that no one feels rushed or that you're not paying attention to them because you're trying to jump into the next conversation. One of the things that if you've ever been to an exhibitor fair, you may see that there are people who literally sit behind the table, kind of like this, and look at you when you come by. And you're walking by, and they're just sitting there looking at you. To me, it boggles my mind that you have taken the time to create this environment and you don't make it welcoming, right? If someone came to your house, aside from maybe family members, if someone knocked on your door, I don't think you would say from the back room, hey, what's up? Who is it? What you want? Right? But that's the kind of feeling that it gives off when you just sit at your table and let people walk by. So, you know, stand up, interact, be welcoming. This is a space that you've created. Like, the way I look at it is, it's almost like creating a living room that you're inviting people into for your business. Think about it as your office for the day. What type of environment would you set the stage for if people were coming to your office? And that's exactly what you want to think about aesthetically, but also in terms of how you interrelate with people who come to your table. So I really strongly suggest that you not sit unless there's really nobody coming by, honestly. So that's where we're going into where the doors open, right? So the sitting, the welcoming. When people come to your table, do you have a logical way of walking them through the actions you want them to take? So this is, again, thinking about intention. If you have things on your table that enable people to learn more about your business, or you can converse with them to explain more about your business, but your goal is to then get them on your email list. Or even at that moment, I've seen it done where people set up an appointment right there at the table for the next conversation. So you want to think about what are the actions that people can take when they come to your table. And some things, and for your goals, right, to achieve your goals, the reason why you have a table. And to meet their goals as well, right? You're following up, you're finding out what it is that they're looking for and how you may be able to help them through a conversation. One of the things that I think is great is to have an opt-in. So you can have a sample on the table of an ebook you've written, or a handout that you give, or like I said, admissionism. She could have the top 5 ways that you will never get into college if you do this, right? It's like this weird way of thinking like, oh my God, I need to read that report. And so people can go and give you their email address. Either you have that set up, or they can do something called call loop or text message based, do it on their phone to get that report, right? Because at a minimum, I swear, the 2 things that I feel are like platinum these days are attention and emails or phone numbers. Attention and emails, and hand in hand, they work hand in hand. And the way to really maximize your time in any exhibitor opportunity is to get engagement and to get phone numbers and or emails. And the way to do that, again, is to have maybe a sample of something on your table. What is it that you have upcoming? Are there things that you can invite them to? Do you do Skype virtual coffees or Zoom virtual coffees? You know, think creatively. I'm just kind of spitballing ideas, but now if you're in this intention setting phase, it really gives you an opportunity, hopefully, to think creatively about how you want people to walk through their time with you. And of course, the ever important, if you have goods and products, of course you want them to buy those, but you don't only want them to buy them. You do still want to engage. You still want to get their email addresses. You want to create a relationship. It's amazing to me, and I'm not gonna call anybody out, but it's amazing to me in the recent events that I've gone to, how many people who were exhibitors didn't have a process for gathering the information of people who literally just gave them money. Like the best customer is an existing customer, a repeat customer. They already know, like, trust you, they've given you money, and you want to be able to follow up with them. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I am so passionate about this. When you are at the table, you have to have a way to capture their information, please. Okay. And then fun. How can you make it fun? That's in line with your brand, that's in line with your personality, that's gonna make them walk away and say, oh my gosh, that was a really great interaction. You know, it's really about the relationships that you create with each person who comes to your table. So for instance, if you are someone who is selling t-shirts that day at the exhibit, talk about the design, talk about the story behind your design. People love stories. And if they're looking at it, you can just, you know, ask them questions and what made them pick it up. It's really just about starting conversations and not looking at each interaction as a transaction, but as the start of a relationship, whether money exchanges hands that day or not. It is the beginning of a relationship. And so the way to create those raving fans is to make them feel like they've been invited into your office. It's a welcoming space. You're happy to see them. You're interested in what it is that they came to achieve. You know, one of the main questions that I ask every person who comes to my table is, what brought you out today? What brought you out? You know, it makes them think, hey, what did bring me out? What was my intention? You know, I hoped to connect. I wanted to see about these women-owned businesses I'm hearing about all over Broward County. You know, I wanted to come out and support. My homegirl has a table and she brought me out. Oh, really? Okay, well, what made, you know? And then you just pick up on those kernels and people will remember you. And when people know, like, and trust you, it is incredible, the gravitas, the amount of support, the amount of raving fandom that they will give you. So one of the pieces that I think gets overlooked a lot while you are in the room are the other people behind the tables. I've been fortunate that for the majority of the events that I've hosted, I have had Tanya with me, but even if you are solo, you may want to just venture out during a quiet time Ask the person who's at the table next to you to, keep an eye out on your table for you, but walk around and see what the other people are selling. What are the other people doing? Who are they? How can you interact with them and create relationships with them? I think it is often overlooked, especially if you are someone who sells a product or something, a good that people can walk away from the table with, that you only focus on the other side of the table. But in our case with Unvendor December, you have 14 to 15 other women behind the tables just like you, who are also in business, who also have resource needs and have resources that they can fill for you. So please do not overlook those folks, because another thing is, I found that they'll send people to your table. If someone comes to their table and maybe looking for something that you have, they'll send people right to you right there on the spot. And it's great that you can possibly do the same for others. Remember, the title of this is about creating raving fans. This is about creating raving fans for everyone who comes to your table. So that includes people who were behind tables across the room or upstairs or downstairs. You want to connect with them, share information, email addresses, follow up with them as well. Now, the after. The fortune is in the follow-up. I have said it, I don't know how many times now, but really, engagement while they're at your table, and engagement after they leave your table. And the way to maximize engagement after they leave your table is through having a means of communication that you control. Yeah, it's great to give them your business cards, but that puts them in control. There used to be this saying that people would say, oh, you got to get your name out there. You got to get your name out there. No. You don't got to get your name out there. You have to get their name in here. You have to get their email address in here so that you can control that flow of information and follow up. And within a few days, you want to send an email that says, hey, it was great meeting you. If you've made little notations about something that they said to you, maybe that you want to follow up with specifically, you can send it as a singular email. You can send obviously group emails that Tanya's going to talk about a little bit with the follow-up. But I tell you, the fortune is that's exactly where it is. Especially for those of you who are selling products, please do not overlook the value of capturing the names and email addresses of everyone who comes to your table. But the people who have paid and spent money to get something from you, a really great way to continue a relationship with them is to follow up and specifically ask them about the experience they had with the thing they purchased from you. So if someone purchases a t-shirt from you, say, I'm wondering, how do you like that t-shirt? Have you had a chance to wear it? I was thinking about some other designs, things like that. You can even ask an open-ended question. They might have said they were going to buy that for their daughter. Oh, did your daughter like it? Things like that. So you're really, really creating these mini relationships that don't have to take a lot of time. You'd be amazed at how quickly this type of information can flow. And you just try to stay on top of it. And I don't want to overwhelm you with opportunities, but I'm just sort of giving ideas to hopefully just make your creative juices flow, and then you handle each one individually. But for people who have bought your juice or bought your cupcakes or bought your t-shirt or have, signed up to have a consultation with you, you definitely want to give them a personal touch sooner rather than later after the event, speaking specifically to that value that they've given you, and then follow up with how you can yourself add additional value to them. Okay, so I am going to check super quickly. I literally have talked straight for like 24 minutes. I'm going to look super quickly. I don't see anything in the chat. So I don't see any questions in the chat yet. I'm going to unmute Tanya. And like I said, if you have questions, I'm sure that while Tanya's speaking, I'm probably going to have some other ideas that pop into my head. My goal with today, and hopefully it is being met, is to really help you think creatively, to help you think outside of the box and maybe cover some pieces that you hadn't thought about that can really get folded into how you approach your exhibit table. One of the things, like my step and repeat behind me, so think about signage as well. I have a table runner that goes perpendicular across the table, and these red bottom shoes, they draw attention like crazy. So if you have a super cool logo, you really want to go ahead and let that speak directly to your customer base. And I'm going to unmute you, Tanya. I'm going to turn off my video for a second. Tanya, you should be unmuted, but I don't know if you're on your iPad.
Yeah, I'm on both.
Okay, but I have 5 iPads connected, so unfortunately I don't know which one is you.
Oh no, I'm on my laptop as well, so I'm good.
Okay, so we can hear you. I'm gonna mute myself. And like I said, please, if any of you have questions, please drop them in the chat room, but we're also going to open mics and videos if you'd like to jump on and ask your question directly as well. So I'm gonna mute myself and turn off my camera for a minute. And Tanya, take it away, because the fortune is in the follow-up. How should we follow up?
It is. Well, a couple of things, and some of this is going to be repeat because Michelle did such a great job and explaining this. So making absolutely sure that when people come to your table, you give them a reason for them to give you your information, and just being as creative as possible in terms of the way you capture that. So for me, I like to do different things. You can do Google Forms, which is really quick and easy, where only thing you're going to ask for is their name, their email, and maybe you can have a note section where they could put specific information. Also, if you want to do text messages, if the people that you communicate with, if they like doing text messages, you can opt to do something like that. But I would encourage you to always have the old-fashioned cards or the form, because technology will fail you. And I love technology, but sometimes it will fail you. So you want to make sure you have that form where you have a place to capture at minimum their name, their email address, and then that note section. And again, you have to make it inviting. They have to have a reason to want to give you this information. So even if they don't buy, you can tell them about some specials that you may have coming up for the holidays, anything like that, to kind of persuade them to get on your list. For me, especially when I was doing more coaching, I would connect with them on LinkedIn right then. Right there at the table, I would get their LinkedIn information, connect with them, and send them a message just so they can know, hey, met with you at the event, connecting. And then that way is already done. And then when I go into LinkedIn, I see the people that I recently connected with. I see the message that I sent them, and then I can continue with that follow-up. So those are the ways that you want to capture that information. But as far as the follow-up, there are some specific things that you really want to focus on. Michelle gave really great advice in terms of when they actually purchase from you. That's a great opportunity to follow up. But if you have specific conversations with people about certain things, you want your follow-up to be as specific as possible, because you want them to know that you remember them. So now you're building that connection. And I'll be the first to say, I've had people that I followed up with, and 6 months later, they converted to a sale. So it's not always initially. And sometimes they put you in contact with somebody else that may utilize your services. So it's just really a really great habit to have it. So you definitely want to have a system, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It could be an Excel spreadsheet, you know what I mean, where you put information on there and you put specific information about that person. So when I'm following up about something that we've had a conversation about. So you got your specific follow-ups, and then you have your follow-ups that are going to go into your email marketing campaign. And with that, normally what I do is I remind them where we met, how we met. Hey, it was nice to see you at the Unvendor December event, and you kind of take it from there. And you may even want to have something special for those people, whether it may be, hey, go ahead and connect with me. Like if you're a coach, listen, I'm gonna say this right now. I pimp my Acuity schedule link. I send that link out everywhere, because you want people to connect with you. You want to have that one-on-one, that next level conversation. So I have no problem putting my Acuity link in my emails. I put them in my direct messaging. Anywhere somebody connects with me, anywhere I connect with them, I put my Acuity link. So even in LinkedIn, I'll put it in there as well, just to kind of give them an opportunity to have that next level conversation. Um, and again, just for the people who sell products, following up and seeing how they liked it, how did they enjoy it, just being specific and intentional as possible. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that those tables, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And if you are by yourself, even when Michelle and I have done it together, sometimes it's just out of the blue. You got you look up and all of these people were there. So it gets a little overwhelming at times, but if you have a system, it helps so much more. So if you are having specific conversations, because people are quick to give you their business card, just write on that business card something that's going to jog your memory so you remember the conversation you had with that person. Because it's going to be a lot. Or one thing that Michelle did that I hadn't done at an event that I did previously was that note section. She had people put specific information in that note section to jog her memory, as I'm supposed to connect you with X, Y, and Z, or I need to send you information on X, Y, and Z. And I thought that was great. So between that and your putting information on business cards, if you use your form, if you use if you use the Google form, making sure you have a note section, anything you do, making sure you have that note section where you can jot down notes is definitely helpful. For me, in terms of follow-up, I have a schedule. So if we have an event on a Saturday, that next week, I need to be following up with those people because I want to do it while it's still fresh, while they remember me and they remember our conversation. If you wait a month, they may not remember. They'll remember that they went to the event, but they may not remember the conversation that they had with you. So if you can just go ahead and try to follow up with them that next week, just to get something out in terms of whether it's an email saying, hey, thank you for your participation at the event. It was nice meeting with you. Just something to generate that conversation. And then taking it from there is what I've done. And like I said, I continue to follow up. I continue to keep the conversation going unless somebody outright says, I'm not interested. Of course, I'm not going to continue to follow up. But if I see that there's interest, I'll follow up. If I come up with information that I know that they can use, like maybe if you're selling a product and they like what like what you had, but maybe you didn't have their size. Once you have their size in, I would follow up and say, hey, that shirt that you were interested in, I got your size, or something like that. And just continuing to follow up long after, but make a connection. And that is the most important thing. Don't make all of your follow-up canned, where it's just generic and black and white, because everyone does that. So, don't just throw people on your list and think that that's it. You need to have a deeper level connection. And that is it for me. Like I said, Michelle hit on a lot of the information, but just making sure that your follow-up is as specific as possible when it can be and timely. What else, Michelle? I can't see the chat box if there was any questions.
Nope, no questions in the chat box, but people may have questions. So I'm going to, if you're finished, I'm going to unmute people, and that way you can ask questions. Hey, Narissa. Hey, Dr. Kia.
So I have a question for Tanya. You mentioned Acuity.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
So Acuity is a scheduler. So, and there's many. I just Okay,
Okay.
so I have a couple of tools that I just absolutely hard. By now,
Mhm.
you know, Canva is one,
Mhm.
Acuity is another one, but it's a scheduler. And the thing that I like about Acuity is that for consultants and coaches, it works really well because it gives you an opportunity to, they can pay for services via Acuity. You can set it up to ask, do an assessment. So if you want to ask them specific questions before they schedule an appointment, that way you know more about what the call is going to be about and you're more prepared, you can do that as well. And then also it directly connects with MailChimp. And I know a lot of people utilize MailChimp. So it has a lot of advantages. Calendly has some of that as well. I have just found that for me, in terms of coaching, Acuity was the one that I really enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? I'm going to say that there are none.
No,
You're
you guys
good.
are really thorough. I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Well, what's this? I'm just going to ask you now. I'm going to stop recording. So let me do a quick wrap up. And then I would love if you have a second to give just a little bit of feedback so we can make this better and improve upon it. Well, you know what? I'm going to just let the recording go. I'll just ask you. And Narissa, if you have thoughts as well, what can we do? Well, what was helpful and what can we do to make it better? What are some things that you came to the table with questions about? Anything, whatever your thoughts are. Just free flowing, because it's the first time, I'm doing this, the first time Tanya's doing it, and we want to make it really good and have this as something that people can use going forward.
Yeah, I think for me, seeing as I haven't done an event before, it was really helpful to hear about like your first experience and what to anticipate, like including like people coming in waves, and then other times there might be downtime. And I really like the suggestion to connect with some of the other business owners that are there, because I didn't think about that part at all, and how they might send people to you. So I really like hearing those like personal experiences. I'm curious though, were there any changes that you made from like the first time to the second time to the third time to improve your process?
I know I did for sure. One thing, and Tanya actually alluded to it, it was there, but I didn't use it. So on my sheet, I asked for email address, name, business name, and the city the person lives in, and then I have a notes column, right? My thinking was I would be the person putting notes in there. But what actually ended up being a better tool was as they're writing their information, because usually they're writing while we're talking, I say, oh, no, put in there that you want me to tell your daughter something. Or put it, so I actually put the responsibility on them to go ahead and tell me what it is that we just talked about. And that has made a really big difference, to be quite honest, in how things flow, because I don't have to stop before I start talking to the next person even to remember, oh, let me get this thought down before I forget it. I have the notes section right there and they write it in right away. So that is actually a big one that we learned, I think, in terms of leveraging them, let them do that work. I put that in there, that information in there. I think one thing that I do focus on is who is, I don't know, I just like to make things pretty. So I just think about who's coming. So when I just did that Ashley Stewart event, I did, I have something in my cup. I did sparkling Welch's rosé, right? These women, they're coming to do Black Friday shopping, right? So let's make it a little bubbly. They loved it. They love just have, it's non-alcoholic, right? But yet they loved it. It was the sparkling rosé to add to their little shopping experience in Ashley Stewart. And so I think the more that I make my table, because of my brand, it matches my brand, right? I want to reach women business owners, and we have a way of liking some luxe stuff, right? If I can make my table feel like just an extension of coming and hanging out at my house, and you've hung out at my house, so if I can make it feel that way, that welcoming, I find that people really respond to it. And one of the things that we found with the last event we did It's kind of a hodgepodge of businesses, right? It was the Urban League, it was Minority Business Fair Expo, and there were all types of businesses in the room. And our table got swarmed again. And this time, sorry, Tanya, I told Tanya I did this. I walked away from the table because I was like, this is weird. Like it was a moment where it didn't feel like there were that many people overall in the space, but our table was slammed. And sure enough, I stepped away and the other tables were very sparse and our table again was just crammed. And this was again a co-ed event, right? But we were slammed. So I think these red bottoms coupled with standing up and smiling at people who come by.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you do? And I go, what brings you out today? And it's just like, hey. So those are things that I think for me, from one to the other, is just really thinking about who's going to be in the room. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a co-ed event. What can I do a little differently? What can I tweak? I had some different things on the table. I talked to the guys a different way. I had this conference stuff for something else that they could attend on the table. So just really thinking about who's going to be in the room. I think.
But being inviting really did it. You know what I mean? Because I did notice that other people were sitting down and people would walk past their table. Yeah. But when you're standing up and you're smiling, they're like, what you smiling about? Because guys were even coming, because initially I thought it was the red bottoms. But then when all these guys, I'm like, well, no, maybe it's not just the red bottoms. There's something else that's attracting them.
It's true.
And make sure you have enough forms, Michelle.
Oh, Lord, here we go. Yeah, you have no, seriously. Okay, so the point she makes is that, I have this little mindset thing where maybe I play a little small. So we always run out of sign-up forms, and we have to sign on the back and other pads and all kinds of stuff, because I underestimate how many people are going to be interested in what I have. So make your own mistakes, don't make mine. Think big. FYI, on Vendor December, as of an hour ago, we had 88 people registered. We thought it would be a success to have 50 to 75 people come. I don't know that all 88 are coming, but there's going to be people who come that didn't register and people who don't come who did, and we're going to make it happen. But right now, we have a lot of momentum behind our event, and I'm super excited for you ladies. Narissa, you have your hand up. I see your mic is open, so you should be good to go.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So you asked what, first of all, I mean, fantastic, very valuable webinar. And I think what would be great if you do this webinar again is the things that you talked about, if you put them on a downloadable checklist, so that those of us who are like, oh my God, that's a great idea, like I could just download it, and then as I'm preparing for my next unvendor event, I have this unvendor checklist that makes me like the shining star at wherever I go. So yeah, I mean, the ideas that you had were great, and yeah, checklist would be amazing. Something for those of us who are more visual.
Mm-hmm.
That was the plan.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, hey, no, okay. Check that out. That's awesome. Perfect. Wait. Is there a checklist coming with this webinar? Is that what you're about to say to me? Because that's exciting.
Okay, so the words were, that was the plan.
Okay.
Don't think just
she means not today, but okay. Because I was like, oh,
that was the plan.
I have to figure out I have to figure out where to put this piece of paper that I just wrote all this stuff down on.
No, I know, and that definitely was the plan, that it would go out with the recording tomorrow. But I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at my life, and I don't really think it's going to happen for tonight. My goal is that it'll happen for the next time you guys do this, wherever you do it, and it will be part of. We are going to do this webinar again, and it will be formal, super formal. But this was just something to test it out, because to be quite frank, like I said, I've done this 3 times. Nobody's done a webinar for me for any of the events I've done. I don't know about you guys, but No one's ever done a webinar to teach me how to be successful as an exhibitor. So
That's because you're badass, Michelle.
yeah, no. I'm not like patting myself on the back, but
No. What I'm saying is like the idea is badass. Like I was like, oh, this is great.
yeah.
Like I know how to be successful rocking into this event. Good job. Yay.
Yeah,
Excited.
Good. Well, I'm super excited. Kia, did you have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions. I'm just very excited.
Yay.
I feel like you gave me a lot of different ideas about things that I could do. Now I'm like, what am I going to do?
No, this is kind of late with that, right? That's why we want to make this a product that people can kind of have and listen to. Obviously, with our situation, we're all just, this is my first time hosting one. This is your first time being in one. I mean, it's all first for all of us. But yeah, probably more than 3 days out would have been
Yes.
Same thing with
next time. I think next time when you do the webinar, what will be cool is that like at least I and Narissa and other people could pop in with their experiences. Like this is chiming in on Michelle's point. Like I found this to be really successful.
Oh, that's awesome idea.
You know, or like creative ideas that other people have came up with, just to like give people some I don't know, some inspiration to work with.
Yeah, because what I found is that with offering this and putting this opportunity out there, a lot of people said, okay, sign me up. But I could tell they weren't really thinking about it, right? It was just like, okay, it's an exhibit and I just need to get my business out there. And that's part of it. But to what end and to how? Right? Because again, it's not getting your name out there, it's getting their names in here and thinking about it as this bi-directional conversation and communication that you're more in control of than they are.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you guys for coming. I am really just super excited about this experience, and there will be an email going out tomorrow with the webinar replay. Please don't share it because I'm going to figure out a way to monetize this and make this something more for more people to benefit from. For sure. Tanya Harrison, thank you so much, as always, our systems and operations guru.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we all are. Narissa, I got to talk to you, so I'm going to call you after this, if you don't mind. And I really appreciate all of you. I'll see y'all Saturday morning.
Yay.
For those of you listening on a replay, hopefully you're listening before Saturday morning. Some good ideas. If not, you can implement these ideas for your next time on Michelle Talbert with Her Power Moves. You can definitely get on our email list at herpowermoves.com/stay in the know, or check out our Facebook group, herpowermoves.com/insiders club. And trust me, we're rocking and rolling there and sharing resources. Just yesterday, we shared an opportunity to speak. If speaking more is on your list for 2019, you're going to want to get into Narissa's Women Who Speak and Write Club, and you're going to want to get into our Insiders Club on Facebook. And you definitely want to check out Signal Partners at CIGNAL Partners on Instagram. Tanya Harrison, she is the guru of systems and operations. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Saturday at Unbanter December.